we're going to try this again. We are going to listen to Maria sing the song in the West Side Story. Just a little snippet of a song.
The poor girl is out of her mind. I am
Crazy.
crazy.
Background. She's talking with the girls in the shop.
She looks somehow different.
I do.
And I think she is up to something.
I am. I do. I am. She talks
goes.
like a parrot.
What is going on with you, Maria?
I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and gay, and I...
Wow, Maria just sang that she felt pretty and witty and gay. So is Maria saying that she's a homosexual? I mean, that's the current meaning of that term. All right, now, boy, if Maria's gay, then man, she's just really leading Tony on, and that just takes the whole story in a whole different direction. So yeah, this is what happens when we take today's standards, concepts, perspectives, and apply them inappropriately to the past. So again, The Sound of Music, or sorry, it's not Sound of Music, West Side Story, that's barely 50 years old. And you see how a concept and a meaning could change over time. Maria was saying that she was happy. All right, and to put today's meaning on it gives it a whole new context. So again, if the Genesis text that were written 3,000 years before are interpreted as a scientific textbook, that's just really not intellectually appropriate because the scientific revolution, as we said, did not start until the mid-1500s. All right, we've already talked about that. So the last question. Evolution is still hotly debated in the scientific community because it is still just a theory. Well, if you're like my spring class, you overwhelmingly said true by a 2-to-1 ratio. And sadly, even though that is the incorrect answer, it's really not your fault. The answer is false. Evolution is not debated at all in the scientific community. And it's not your fault. It's because scientists are just, I swear, the stupidest people in the world. Because when we're really, 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 really sure of an idea, when we are sure of an idea because it has overwhelming supporting evidence, when we are so convinced an idea is true that we feel that it would be irresponsible not to act as if it were true, when we're really, really, really certain of our idea, we call it a theory. Is that not the dumbest thing you've ever heard? I mean, just a theory, that phrase, has absolutely no meaning in science. I mean, let's just say you heard somebody say, he's not a very good writer. He won just a Pulitzer. Winning just a Pulitzer has no meaning in writing circles, all right? She's not a good actress. I mean, she just won the Academy Award. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So let me try to spell this out a little bit more for you. I'm going to, hopefully you've all had calculus, and on the y-axis, I'm going to put a U for uncertainty. So as you go up the axis, you have more and more uncertainty. Now, if you have a scientific hypothesis, which is untested, all right, so hypothesis, your educated guess, even though it's educated, that pretty much has a fairly high level of uncertainty because it's untested. But if an idea is tested, now when it's tested, sometimes ideas are disproved. But as an idea is tested, as it gains more and more supporting evidence, all right, so on this axis, I guess we would put evidence. All right, as an idea, as it is being tested, gets more and more and more supporting evidence. As evidence increases, uncertainty dramatically drops. And it approaches zero, but just as in calculus, it never ever, it never ever gets to zero. All right? And when an idea has so little uncertainty that we think it would be irresponsible not to assume it's true, that's what we call a theory. Is that not the dumbest thing in the world? I mean, have you ever heard a scientist say, I don't know if I believe in cells, they're just a theory? Well, what does that mean? We believe, if you will, in cell theory because of the overwhelming supporting evidence. Every single living thing we've looked at is made out of cells. So there's not one scientist on earth that says, oh, I don't know if I believe in cells, it's just a theory. And if you ever go to the doctor And he or she says, you know, you clearly have strep throat, but I'm not going to give you antibiotics for this infection because the germ theory of infectious diseases is just a theory. Run, run, run for your life. All right. Again, if something gets the designation of theory in science, all right, it's because there's overwhelming supporting evidence. And Bio 151, you probably learned about chromosome theory, the theory that genes which determine genetic traits are physically located on chromosomes. So here's the irony. Evolution is probably the best supported theory in science. There is overwhelming supporting evidence from the fossil record, so from geology, from other areas of biology, comparative anatomy, molecular data, physics, chemistry. There is overwhelming evidence to support evolutionary theory. So what the scientific community debates is not that evolution did happen on our planet, but maybe what are some details about how it happened, or what lineage appeared first, or what lineage evolved to this animal and what evolved into that, or what kind of environments. It's the details that are debated. But anyway, this crazy idea that you and your pet cat or dog and goldfish have a common ancestor, that idea is crazy. Why should you accept it on the surface level? I don't expect you to take anything on the surface level in this course. You should believe nothing I say unless I have evidence to back it up. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the week. We're going to start to look at supporting evidence for evolution. Now, you could literally take 3 years and study nothing but evidence for evolution. We are going to look at some key lines of evidence, and you are going to, this is sort of fun, you get to choose. When we look at the fossil record, or we look at bones and stuff, you're going to choose, I'm going to become an expert on this little area, and this little area, and this little area, and that's what I'm going to write my essays about on my test. You don't have to know all the details about everything, but you will be required to know some of the details about some of the things, so that when you graduate from this course and people ask you about evidence of evolution, you can speak with authority and not, oh, they say the fossil record says this, or they claim the bones, yada, yada. All right, so what you're going to do now is watch the next video that will introduce you to an activity that you will do to sort of set up our exploration of evidence for evolution. Hope you've enjoyed your first 2 lectures. Bye.